Hello and welcome back. I'm Gladys. Over here we make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate baking easily. You have so-eyed Gladys today. I don't have my lash on, but we're going to be completing a very simple task here that is still important in the cake decorating process, which is trimming a cake. We have a square cake. I'm going to talk you through the decisions I've made surrounding this cake so far. And if we have time, today is a slow one because I'm trying not to. We've got these. We'll talk about them in a moment. Okay? Flowers. What flowers mean in the decorating process. They do add a touch, but there are some specific decisions to make. And I posted a photo about these flowers on the community post. So let's get on. First of all, if you're watching me, Faso is back. Faso, we made it to Friday. How are you over there? Tapita is here. Hi, love. Hi, love. Taps, how are you? So if you're wondering what is this here and why do we have a plastic, I'm going to talk you through all of that in a moment. But right now we are unwrapping the cake. She is beautiful. This cake stands at 9 inches tall. This is by definition a double barrel, if you like. You have up to 7 inches, that is a tall cake. The moment you go past 7 and you get to 8, 9, that's a double barrel, because the classic height, as in classic, the old style cakes, they were 4 or 5 inches tall, if you like, and that is the standard for the heights of cakes. So anything, obviously cakes have changed and evolved with time, and we have modern designs that take on different heights and all sorts. But the moment you go past the 5 inches cake, you are in the modern style era where you can go from a tall cake or a double barrel cake. And this is classically a double barrel cake. A double barrel simply means that you have 2 cakes put it into one, and if you separate them, they fall back into the classic height of the 4-inch or traditionally 5-inch cake. So essentially double barrel is 2 cakes made into one, and serving these cakes require a lot of thought. This is a 6-inch square cake standing at 9 inches tall. Underneath here we have a ganache disc. Let's see if I've secured the table. We have a ganache disc, we have a cake board, and then we have 4 layers of cake. I had excess left from this cake that are going to go to good use. The good thing though is that the cake is turning out just as I like it so far, because when you're making a square cake and you are aiming for fine lines, you don't want to be messing around this cake. So even though I am going to be trimming the cake, I am just trimming the surface to even out the buttercream instead of trimming the cake to rid of anything else. Because when you fill and stack a cake like this, if you squint closely, the sides are not always the same. So all I'm doing is I am trying to even out the surface. If you compare this surface to this one, you can tell there's a little bulge here. So even though the cakes are baked in the same thing, they don't come out very straight. So I am just, the trimming is not for anything other than just evening out the cake so the surface is straight for me to work with. It also has the added benefit of, one second, it also has the added benefit of evening out the buttercream, because what you do not want is your buttercream coming to room temperature and then pushing through the ganache. You don't want that. So that is the essence of the trimming of the cake, because normally if you've been here when I've spoken about trimming, I trim to rid of the crust, which is brown and doesn't yield a great looking slice for me. So it's more like an aesthetic thing, but this is not because of that. This, I am trying to aid a good structure of the cake, that's all. So we are just evening out the surface. And when you're trimming, mind you, it's not just digging a knife in and then like searing off the side. There's a thought to it. This knife is super sharp, and beside me is a tall, warm jug or container of water. Essentially, I have my NutriBullet, and the tall nature of the container is so that the entire length of the knife can sit in and warm the blade, so that I can get myself a very clean, sharp cut. Because what you don't want is to cause friction and start moving the cake around. This cake has chilled overnight. Anyway, I filled it yesterday and left it to chill. And since there's no much crust on the cake, I am just evening out the surface. And where it doesn't need evening, I would just leave it. So you're not going to see me kind of soaring off sides of the cake. Dapita is baking this weekend. She's excited about that. Dapita, I'm excited for you because baking is a happy place for you. And lately you haven't been super excited because of whatever the reason is. I'm so glad you are back to baking, and more so you are excited about it. Okay, there we are. I think that is enough for the trimming for me. Right. A few tips when you're working with square cakes. Yesterday when I was stacking the cakes, the builder's tools came out. And when I say builder's tools, I have, one second, let me get it. I have a spirit level, a specific spirit level. Let's see. There's a lot going to a square cake, and when I come to turning this into a full length content for you, I'll explain the thoughts around some of the decisions I've made so far. Okay. The thing with this level is if it's not level, you're not going to get it to be green. But my kitchen surface is wonky as well, so let's see, can we get it to a green? Okay, if I can get it, see, right, but it's a yellow, it's not green yet, only because there is a gap underneath this. When we put the ganache on it, we should ensure that it is green because otherwise we'll have a lopsided cake. But yellow is not bad, so let's see. Oh no, I can't. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Okay. It kind of tinkers between. A little push down here. A little push, and then we get the no. Okay, when I turn it, look. Okay. Oh, so we made it. It's green. It's green. So it's level. Yeah. I can't be that excited because this is not the standard. The standard is after you put the, okay, the table is shaking, so it's changing color. Look, when I shake the table. But this means it's level. Okay. Jocelyn, how are you, darling? Oh, it's Danai who is baking. Danai. Okay, what are you baking for, darling? What's the occasion? We've got this looking green, which is not bad, right? But Jocelyn, how are you, my lovely? It's been a little while since we last saw you here. How is life treating you? Right, so at least we know our cake is sort of level. That's all the trimming we need, okay? Okay, let's see. One way to kind of like be sure about the cake trimmed, you can use your right angle rule here, but actually I am not going to go for that now. Never mind if you feel like you're missing out, you're not, because I'm going to try and put this in long form content for you. Okay, so never you mind, because we already, the last part of the what do you call it, the heat wave cake comes around this weekend, and then you get to see the last struggles I had with that cake before it went out. That was like a very nice series to be able to kind of bring you behind the scenes, and I am hoping I can do the same with this cake as well. So you'll get to see some of the decisions I make around it in real time, so that it also informs you. One thing you won't know though is, as of this point, I haven't nailed the design decisions about this cake to a T. I haven't, because I'm still like, this cake gives me free reign. So first of all, the design that we have here, as in the shape of the cake, isn't what the customer even asked for. But I had made if you've been around here, most of the customer cakes I have made in recent times are all round cakes. And sometimes after a while, for content reasons and for my own artistic expression, they get boring. Like, I could make a round cake, but I also want variety for you. So when a customer comes to me and I have a relationship with them, and they turn around and like, I want a round cake, and I'm not fast, but okay, they don't say they want a round cake. They choose a couple of cakes that fall into a particular design category, and then it is my decision to kind of adapt it if I choose to. So for your benefit, I decided to go for a square cake, simply because I wanted to take you through the process of covering a square cake. So see how my being here informs some of my design decisions for customer cakes. Now, a square cake and a round cake are not priced the same, but this is exercise. Giving the customer a square cake is exercise at my own discretion, because the goal here is self-intended. Like, I wanted a chance to show you how I would approach a square cake. Whereas if I wasn't making it a customer cake and I wanted to take you through the process of a square cake, I would have to create a cake out of a dummy. The thing about the dummies for demonstration is they're not like, it's not a bad thing to teach with dummies, but dummies do not give you the real techniques. Because if I was decorating a dummy on a heat wave day, the only thing you will see is the buttercream, which is melting. That is if I haven't optimized it for real results. But you will never get to see what a cake looks like and how it behaves in a warm weather day. So as close to possible, I want to bring you a true process and a raw unfiltered process of a real live cake, so that you get to see. But over time, it gets really difficult to replicate that from my work table, if you like. Because if I wasn't making a customer cake and I had to demonstrate a square cake, not only do I don't have the time to make customer cakes, then go and formulate a whole like content table, and then come back and then show you an adapted version. It doesn't work. I hope you hear what I'm saying. So sometimes the customer's choice, where it meets my needs and to serve you, I make the design decision to kind of like cut my cost. So the cake is priced appropriately. This cake, for its round version with artificial flowers, was a standard £175 cake. That's the price of the cake, and that is what the customer paid for. The cake they are getting is not that price. In fact, half of that £175 price went to buying decorations. The customer didn't ask for it, and I'm not complaining about it, but it's also an opportunity to invest for the good of what I am aiming for, in terms of showing you the true design decisions I make surrounding certain cakes that don't fall into the category, the strict category of customer cakes, as well as some decisions I make that you will never probably get to hear of if I wasn't talking about them. Because yes, you should price your cakes accordingly. You should price your cakes as they are worth. And for what the customer asks for, the cake and its worth, a 6-inch 4-layered cake that serves 24 to 30 people, £175 for what the design detail was. It was a standard round cake that would have included a selection of artificial flowers cascading on the top right, a standard topper over there, and just a standard topper that says a personalized message, and that is it. But this customer has been with me for all the years, from when I started baking and decorating professionally. I started this as a hobby, and when I transitioned to becoming a business, they had stuck with me. And in fact, I've always told you, the customers who come to me, I know my customers. They're not the customer who just rolls up on a good Tuesday and is like, give me a cake. No, they are customers who fit into my customer profile. Is very specific, not unique to me, but very specific. They are people who would spend close to an X amount on a cake, but not every Sunday. Okay, like for the 40th, for the 30th, for the grand occasion, because the cakes are not cheap and money is tight and it's cost of living. And we've had that conversation that, you know what, just because I make expensive cakes doesn't mean everybody has the deep pockets to buy expensive cakes. And I'm not mad about that. But I sincerely appreciate the people who have shown loyalty and stuck with me year on year on year on, and recommended me all far and near. So where there is a chance to give back, I will completely do that with no questions asked. But even in this circumstance, I am gaining something. And the gain here for me is I get to express myself artistically through a cake that I am imagining. And I also get to bring you along the process so that the customer doesn't feel disadvantaged by it. So you're watching a cake that is supposed to be a customer cake, but the real criteria and the decisions surrounding the cake is not customer centered at all. It's nothing to do with the customer. The best part is the customer ends up with a pretty cake at the end that hopefully will blow their mind. And the only decision they express is the chocolate and the white chocolate buttercream that is in this cake. Everything else is just me, just doing my thing here. So at least that is something to know about custom cakes. Now, now that I've done the trimming, I told you I wasn't going to be chopping off sides of the cake for no reason. So we've got that sorted. I'm going to leave this to chill, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about these flowers, and you'll get to see what untreated custom flowers look like when you have to pick them specifically from a florist. This cake has me like making design decisions that is like, I'm looking at it and thinking, oh, okay, this is interesting. Really, really interesting. Because these flowers, let me just go put this away and come back. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Oh God, glad leave this cake alone so you don't dig it out. You see what I've done? I've gone and dug out this place. Glad leave the cake alone. Okay, glad leave the cake. Glad leave the okay. Okay, glad leave the cake alone now. Yeah. I think I should. Because nothing has worked so far since I've been doing that. Okay. Dawn is fuming. I know why, but I'll leave you to tell, will ya? Okay, I'm gonna put this away. Right, so our cake is trimmed. The first phase of the covering begins sometime later today. I don't know if I will be so keen because covering square cakes is a lot. Okay. Okay. So let's put this away. Let me wipe my worktop and then I'll come talk to you. I asked Denai what the occasion is for her baking because I thought it was Tabitha who was baking. Tabitha, how are you? And how is life treating you? I went and I melted off for a little bit. And we haven't caught up properly. But how are you? How is the hubby? How is the kid? How is life treating you? It's been a little while, my people. It's been a little while. I missed you, Tabitha. I do. Because since I've been here all week, I've thought about you. I'm like, I know I haven't told you, like, the time have changed. I don't know if we're sticking to this time. The only reason I'm here this evening is not for anything, but I didn't sleep well last night. And this afternoon, I just thought, let me just have a nap. And I overslept. So much so, I was late for the school pickup. I was that parent, like I overslept. That is just by the way. So life happens and cake happens. But can we talk about these flowers? How beautiful are they? I set them in water here because my florist is not open tomorrow. And the cake, these are for the cake which goes out on Sunday. I would have preferred the florist to save them for safekeeping. But because they're not open tomorrow, I had to go get them today. They are what you would call untreated flowers, so that they can go on a cake. Like, normally, there are like guidelines for the selection of flowers. There are guidelines for the selection of flowers for cakes in the UK. There are some flowers that are poisonous to food and you can't have them on cakes. One of them is gypsophilia. They're called baby's breath. They are very lovely white flowers. If you Google that, gypsophilia, you would see they are not food safe, but the artificial version of those flowers, as in the synthetic version of those flowers, have nothing to do with the raw natural flowers, but they look very similar. So there's, if you watch cake groups, there's always like cake flower watching where people are coming for each other because people can't tell the difference between the fake and the real flowers. Truth is, if you're making cakes, especially in the UK, because I don't know about other countries, if you're making cakes in the UK, it's really, really important for you to understand where the rules are, because cake making is all great and fun and home bakers are popping here left, right and center. It's all good and nice until someone's life is affected by the cake you made. And making cakes as a business is serious business. Never mind, everybody's nana can make a cake and I'll find someone to make it cheaper and all the nonsense that goes on in the industry, okay? Cake making as a business is really serious business because you're thinking about allergy, how your food preparation, because cake is food, right? It's dessert, but dessert is a type of food. How that alone affects like the decision making. There are rules surrounding it. How you can label food, what you can label. There is a specific legislation surrounding how you label food in terms of how the lettering has to be, how you highlight allergens. And if you don't do that and you're caught in contravention of that, you could be fined. It's really serious business. But getting fined for labeling your foods with the wrong details, as in not highlighting them properly or keeping them in the order that is recommended for you, it's not bad. It's bad, but it's not bad when you're comparing it to if someone ate a cake from you and it contained an allergen that wasn't addressed properly and your life is hanging on it. that's really serious business. So in that case, flowers for cakes have to be sourced with great intention. For that reason, it is probably one of the key reasons why I love cakes with artificial flowers. As a cake artist who started my business specializing in sugar flowers, they are incredibly time consuming to make. Customers are not always keen to pay for them, and I'm simply not passionate about. There are aspects of cake design process that each individual as an artist would love. There are people I know and respect who love the art of sugar flowers. I like them. I'm not passionate about them to spend 22 hours making one simple, like, big peony or something. Like, those flowers will take you a time and a leg to make, and I am not passionate about them. I can make them, but I'm not passionate about them. And because they are very time consuming, I choose to offer the alternative, which is the silk or artificial flowers. There is like a guideline to how you prep them because of sourcing and transportation and exposure and everything else. I think I've talked about that slightly, about how I do them. When I get them, you spray them with some vinegar, pop them in the oven in a 50-degree heat or less, 30 to 50. Let the fan run, just so that you feel like you are sanitizing them a little bit, right? And then sometimes you have to change the wire stalks for food safe materials such as food toothpicks and stuff like that. All of these are really, really important design decisions you have to make. And so if I'm not using artificial flowers and a cake calls for these, I have to source them specifically from someone I can talk to. Because when you're picking flowers up from your local grocery store, not only are they generally made not for food, but there are specific like recommendations you may fall short of. Because imagine the flowers sitting like outside for all this time with all the exposure and elements that they are exposed to. Plus, the thing with fresh flowers is because they are very delicate and tricky, there is not much way you can sanitize them, especially when it comes to being exposed to natural elements such as like everything else, people touching them. So there has to be a conscious decision about sourcing real flowers. Luckily, I get to pick them up from my local florist. I call the florist, inform them about what I need the flowers for. If they have the specific ones I need, they get them. So these flowers, when I got them, they weren't bunched together as a bouquet. They were individually picked up for me, and they are wrapped up differently, and they are what you call untreated. There's a question of whether untreated flowers have pesticides or not. From the florist point of view, because they are not in control of the growing process, because they don't own their own farm where they pick the flowers from, and they don't get to make decisions on it. However, the difference though is that they have control over the wholesalers, what specific requirements they may ask. So some flowers are exposed to more pesticides than others, and the amount of pesticides that go over what you may deem untreated flowers sort of is minimal to what you will be getting if you were getting them from your local like grocery shop. So why am I picking these if the customer didn't ask for them? A chance to kind of talk to you about fresh flowers and to make a different design decisions on the cake, because some of my recent cakes you've seen still have like artificial flowers and artificial elements, as in synthetic elements on them. And I just wanted a chance to bring you along the process of what it looks like to source fresh flowers from a florist. I'm so bumped talking to you about it now. I'll tell you why. Because I like the previous series of the hot weather cake, because this cake falls into a category of being a customer cake but also not being a customer cake, because I get to do what I want. The decisions I have made would have affected pricing differently, and perhaps the customer would not settle for that budget, as a matter of fact. So I get to bring you around all the decisions I'm making about it. And I was filming it, except when I went to the florist, I filmed getting into the florist, talking partly to the florists, And then I got distracted and my phone screen went off. I didn't notice. And it was only at the end when I walked out with the flowers, I realized that the conversations about the flowers weren't captured in the way I wanted. But if I go down to editing, I'm sure I will be able to bring you more information about it. So there you have it. We have these flowers. I wanted some large roses, and the decision about the large roses was I get to turn them out and then they bloom really largely. You will see that as part of the design element. I wanted some filler flowers, and these ones are not roses, but the filler flowers, as in the small roses, they hadn't bloomed out properly, and they still had more dominant green traits to it. And I thought they won't make for a good color on the cake. So I opted for these ones as my filler flowers that are whiter, because the cake is going to be a white cake with gold highlights and gold decorative detail, just subtle, and then a small touch of burgundy that will come along the design. So yeah, if you want to take a guess how much these flowers cost, put it in the chat for me. Can you take a guess how much these flowers cost? Thank you. Jocelyn says the flowers are beautiful. Thank you, darling. Thank you. I get to pretend, you know, I get to pretend I treated, it's a Friday, and after making all the decisions and suffering through life on a Friday, I put myself flowers. You know, these days they're like, treat yourself, isn't it? Except I'm treating myself on the account of artistic expression. Okay? I get to look at the flowers, enjoy them, and then put them on a cake. It's a 2-in-1 deal. I like a bargain around here. Okay? Happy Friday, everybody. £60, Jocelyn says. Okay, who will match Jocelyn and who disagrees? £60. £60. Oh, Tapita is off. Tapita, love ya. We'll see you later. We'll be back sometime, but catch us up on the community post and see what's happening there, except nothing is happening. I did promise I will post the updates and I haven't. People, oh dear, bless you. See you later. Right, Faso says 45. Dawn says £12. Dawn, is it £12 for one flower? Dawn, is it 12 for one? Okay. Pastor says, I really like adding fresh flowers to it, but oh please, they are expensive, my dear. Okay, let's see. I just want to see how we perceive flowers. Oh, I think, you know what, listen to Faso. Faso estimates they're normally £4 per flower. So Dawn, they're not from Sainsbury's, they're from my local florist. Okay, and so if an estimated £4 per large rose, we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the 4 roses, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 9 large roses. They're not all large, but all together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lollipop is here. Okay. Hey, Lolly. Right. This all together, whoever led with the £60 was the closest. Altogether, they were £55. Altogether, we have the 9 roses, which works out a rose for £3 for each. And then, because we have 3 different variety of flowers, we have these ones and the small filler flowers. They all together came down to £55. I was cheeky because it's a florist. I was cheeky to say, I went in with a budget of £45, but when they put it together, because sometimes when you ask for flowers, it's a selection they have to put together and then they price up. So I told them my budget which was on a minimum scale of 40, maximum of 45. But I was also open to any adjustment that was there. And it was quoted for £55. So I was cheeky to say, since my budget was a maximum of £45, could they make it a £50 like set of flowers? And she only took one. The selection that she had, she only took one of these out, and then it was like £50. So the entire bunch came out to £50 from the florist. So far in terms of design cost, these alone is £50. Now, will all of these go on the cake? I don't think so. I don't think so. But I would rather have more than less. Because the thing is, when you come to kind of put in the flowers and you realize that you're short of flowers, what are you going to do? So I'd rather have more than less. So £50 for these all together. In terms of the toppers, the topper the customer would have paid for is quoted at £18. It's a custom acrylic three-worded topper, and the three-worded is like she wanted specific words that describe her in 3 words. So say if she was, say, a happy blessed 60th, that's 3 words. And they have to, the topper is like specifically sourced. If you refer to the process of the heat wave cake, I source my toppers from Burnt Island Occasions. It's a very niche specific supplier who makes them to order. So whilst I can pick those toppers up on Etsy, Etsy's designs are pre-made for me to pick and pay for, and including postage, it's almost the same thing anyway, because the last time I picked up a topper from Etsy, they quoted, I think, £12 for the same topper that I'll be getting from Burnt Island Occasion. Yet Burnt Island Occasions are priced at £15, and then postage adds up, and then you get something like £18. But you get the choice of having those toppers, the numbers enlarged in a way you want. Like, by going to a supplier who you get to decide the design of your item, it will cost more. And it's the same for if you're deciding what goes onto your cake specifically for yourself. So yeah, the topper is quoted at £18, and including postage and everything, that would have been a standard £22. Now tell me why. Because I decided to make this an artistic expression, I got myself a couple of toppers, and tell me how much all the toppers and everything came down to. I think including postage. And by the way, the postage, the topper maker was like, they're in a village where sometimes when a customer pays for, say, delivery, the postman wouldn't be able to collect the items on time. So even though you're paying for a specific delivery, sometimes because of the location and the inconveniences that comes with royal mail, you may not be able to get your topper delivered on time. So if I was ordering this topper 2 weeks out, right, then I could pay for a standard price, which is about £3 to £4, and 2 weeks it will get here, right? Even though it's still like mainland UK. Except, tell me why I was making the topper order on a Monday, and she said to me, look, if you don't get it guaranteed, if the post people mess up, you may not be able to get it. So guess what? The postage alone for these toppers, a selection of those, was £9.95, which is rounded up to £10. So the toppers, there was a selection. I think I can, let me see if I can find the price and tell you. And then you will get an idea of how much it is costing me to come and express myself artistically out here in these streets. Okay. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I'll find the email. Okay, yeah. I think I would find it. Okay, so let's see how much we got. Yeah, everything came. So the toppers subtotal, including taxes, would have been £28, including taxes. And the postage alone is £9.15. So that all came up to £38.15. So for a cake that was paid for a price of £175, we have flowers that sit at £50, and we have toppers, as in custom toppers, that is priced including postage as £38.15. So we've already spent half of the price of the cake on decorative elements, and we haven't included the other aspects of the design elements, which are yet to come. Thankfully, I am not buying anymore. Oh, by the way, yeah, we forgot. It's not like when I quoted for the cake, it wasn't like I had my white food coloring had run out. So this is £15 from Amazon. So the things that are specifically bought for this cake, we have £15 for this, £38.15 for the toppers, £50 for flowers. Oh, never mind. Oh, okay, it's adding up now. Never mind, we bought ourselves what? The square tins. The two of those that were about 20, took altogether £23 from Amazon. Okay, and that was because I decided that I was going to make myself a square cake, and I didn't want to hire the cake. And I thought, I don't have a square tin, so that will be an investment to the business, so it doesn't matter. So you see, when people come, so think about it this way. This is not a customer problem. I'm talking you through the design decisions I am making to just be able to express myself artistically, and to kind of like almost like scratch an itch for making a square cake that I'm imagining about. So this is all in my imagination. So let's just say my imagination is expensive. Is it? It is. Okay. But that aside, think about it next time you or somebody tells you to make a cake that falls outside of your core design style. Because in terms of design style, the things you already have are paid for, or at least a percentage of those are accounted for in your business cost. So when someone comes to me for a round cake, I already have round things. I'm not going to buy myself like a specific tin to make this cake, right? When they pick pink artificial flowers, I already have them in bulk purchase, so I can pick a selection and we move on. So those cakes, whilst they are still custom, they are not like exclusively bespoke. So they are still like price, in terms of value and pricing, they're still reasonably affordable. Now, escalate that to customer comes and is like, everything you already have, scrap that. I want a hexagon cake. I want specific things that you don't already have as part of your normal style and skill. All of those things are expensive. They do add to cost, because look, my imagination has led us here. The customer paid £175 for this standard small cake that would have been easier to make. But then I decided to throw that amount on expressing myself artistically and see how much my imagination is. But you see what? The blessing is that you get to see me live like something I'm thinking about, and then you get to kind of come across the process of literally watching me make this thing that is sitting in my head. And I've told you, at this point in time, I still haven't nailed down the design detail. And I'll tell you what, I want the fresh flowers to be able to kind of talk to you about what untreated fresh flowers look like on a cake. I want to be able to talk you through the different aspects of cake designing that doesn't always fall into the criteria of I actually price the cake for what it is worth, and this is what it should cost, and and all of that. And then the other aspect is also that, like, I get to kind of bring you along the process, and it's all fun, and then we learn together. Because I've told you, pricing is a individual problem. Okay, pricing. Because if I made this cake, we would then get to see what the real true costs of the cake is, as compared to what its standard price would have been. Because we've gone from just a regular custom cake to a super bespoke cake with very bespoke elements that are bought exclusively for this cake. So if I was pricing this cake for the customer who is like pushing for all these custom elements, and I told them for a cake to serve 30 square custom flowers sourced from a local place, X amount of this, that, and I said this cake will cost you £480 in terms of price and scale. Don't let your jaw drop, because you've seen me price everything together. And as of the £175 that has been paid for this cake for, we have already spent more than half of that amount on customer elements. So you can see, you get to see the true cost of pricing a cake. And my time is not even included. Because if I was making this cake as my standard custom cake, I have rounded. So I'll bake the cakes in just one batch and it will save me time. But I've gone and we've made the buttercream specifically for this cake. I had to bake the square cake twice. You saw me make that process here. I made the first process. So all of these kind of stack up in terms of time. And time will add to your costs, not forgetting the extra elements. That's all. Dawn has to go, everyone. Dawn, see you later, lovely. We'll catch you on the other side. Mwah. All the best. Okay. Lollipop says, my Chinese takeaway just got here. Ooh, Lollipop, we are coming for dinner. Please don't run off. Hey, stay here. Why am I shy on Gladys? Jocelyn says, I'm definitely getting Chinese this evening now. Bye, Lollipop. Lollipop, now I know you don't want to share your dinner. For this small dinner you want to share with us, you've run off. Lollipop. Anyway, it's past 7. Lollipop says, anything left stays pretty looking for. You know what? After I've taken bits of it, I don't think it will look that pretty. It will look like a toothless child. That was a bit aggressive, Gladys. That was because imagine if I took I'm thinking maybe by the time we do the one corner, the other corner, there's 4 here, 3 there. And then you do the filler flowers. There won't be much left. It will look like a toothless child. But that's super aggressive. Lots of you are having takeaways for this Friday. I don't know what I'm having for this Friday. I had fish and chips earlier, but I could do with a nice snack. I have some cake scraps here and buttercream. I've frozen the rest of the scrap. A lot of cake scraps came out of this cake. I'm probably going to have some cake and a nice cup of tea, tidy up, and then return to see if I can start the ganache work on this cake. But I'm not ganaching on it live. Like, this cake is going to stress me out. So I'm going to chill my head a little bit. And then we'll come back and we will do the covering off camera. But I intend to record the process and bring you along it. So, yeah. Besides you guys eating takeaways and doing what else? What's your Fridays looking like? It's, what's the time where you are? Like, there's 5 of us over here. There is it's almost 7:15. Where is everyone joining us from? Jocelyn, how are you, my lovely? And I'm just trying to see who I've missed. Tabitha is gone. Dawn is gone. Is Faso still here? And is Denai still here? Look, people, I came to talk you through my design decisions and everything else. So now that we've done that, Faso. Oh, you're still working. Last day on this project and I'm trying. Congratulations. Finish hard, okay? It's Friday. What are you treating yourself to this weekend before all the change happens? What are you treating yourself to this weekend? It would be fun to do something fun. It doesn't have to be anything super expensive. As long as like it's an intentional effort to kind of like just maybe an action of the association to kind of break away and to welcome the new responsibilities. Whilst we're at it, a polite reminder, if you haven't already liked the video, let's do that. People, in a good way. This is not a moan session about YouTube changing. Do you realize YouTube has implemented new tools? YouTube now has like a direct message, a direct message icon on it. When YouTube introduces new tools, sometimes they roll it out to a select, so maybe you wouldn't notice, but YouTube now has like new tools that they've introduced. So I guess all the drama of YouTube misbehaving in recent time is all part of the rejigging and development process of implementing new tools just to optimize the viewer experience for better results. I saw that today and I'm like, oh, so suddenly we are going to be direct messaging each other. Like YouTube is YouTubing and I love it. All right. Faso says, I'll be going swimming, but that's not a treat. Okay, you went already. Hey, honey, I'm prioritizing my videos since I have some free time. Do you have a plan? I know you want to prioritize your videos. So are you going back to editing what you already have installed, or you are filming new ones? Don't be tempted to film new ones, okay? Go and mentally find a space and edit the old ones. Because some of us, we're like, oh, I want to film new. And then by the time you finish filming that, you're bored with it. And then it's sat in your hard drive. So go and dig. Oh, okay. They use to have that direct messaging, and they removed it. Oh, okay. So, oh well, I am late to the party then. I have too many new ones. I even filmed last week. Good for you. Look, your selection of videos. Here's one tip for you. I don't have like the same motivation for editing. I love it when I finish editing the process because it kind of highlights what I want to communicate that has been sitting in my head. So I love it when I've put a lot of time into the editing process and I can see it in real time when it's done. But the part that is just like too difficult for me to handle is I go through phases where I look forward to editing. I don't like editing. I've been honest about that. But I accept it is part of what I have to do because I can't afford an editor. So I'm okay accepting the process, but I can't pretend I love it. I'll tell you though, there are days that I accept it much easier where the sitting and the strategy works. And there are days where I can't, like when I'm in the luteal phase and I'm craving and my hormones are all like raging. It's like I literally physically get anxious thinking about editing. Seriously. So what I've done though is I have demystified the results of editing, because whilst the excitement remains for the end product, the process is just torturous for me. So I do what you call the 1 hour rule. And I've told you before what the 1 hour rule looks like. I don't like it. I hate it. I wake up, I'm not looking forward to it. So I apply the 1 hour rule to my maximum focus time of the day. Okay? And this is critical to the day that I really can't do it, don't want to do it, and it's a battle. On the day where I accept it easily, oh, I sit down for the 1 hour rule, and before I see it, 4 hours have come and gone, and it's like, yes. But that's my unicorn days, right? So those days, so what I do simply, if I'm making sense, what I do is I prioritize for my high performing days where I can sit through it. And I also optimize for my low performing days where it's like a chore. I don't want it, but I have to because it's part of the discipline. So on those days, the 1 hour rule looks like this. I don't enjoy it. I hate it. I'll do everything to avoid it, but it's easier if I'm doing it at my most focused time, which is in the mornings. When I wake up and I've done my exercise, I've done my prayer and my little stretching here, and I feel zen after my protein. It's like, I hate this, but I can survive. So when I sit down, I start with 5 minutes. Then the 5 minutes goes to 15 minutes. I give my permission to get up if I have to, not quit on the task, but get up. So get up to kind of like reframe and rejig myself mentally. So I can get up from my desk, come to the kitchen, distract myself by trying to make a cup of tea. I have to not go to scrolling or doing something mindless. And if I have to resort to scrolling, I have to time the scrolling. The point is not to quit on the task, but do everything I have to keep me back to the task. And for that, the 1 hour may actually end up being 40 minutes of focused work, 20 minutes of distractions, but at least 40 minutes is better than not approaching the task at all, right? And I do that on Monday, and I do that on Tuesday. And if you multiply 40 minutes by 5 days, that's a couple of hours strong. And perhaps if you feel worse on day 1, approaching it, you will feel better on day 5 when you have built, like when you're raw. Say if my process of editing looks like this. I look at the entire footage. I take out the parts that I know I certainly don't want. And then I color code them through the organization process. So the opening, right? If I want to open like the introduction of the video, I take out the raw bits that I don't need. That's generally what I do. And then I organize them in colors. You have red, yellow, green, and whatever, right? So maybe I'll end up with, say, let's say 9 blocks of organized thing from intro to finished. And then what I do is I do that. If it takes me 2 days to do that, great. Get it done. And then when I come back, I then start by looking at the first color. So if my first organized color is the introduction, I start looking back at it so I can script. I do the scripting. I used to literally sit and script by hand. I don't anymore. Now I detect my script as if I'm talking about it. I detect it on my notes app. So just like giving you practical tips on how I edit. So after taking off the raw things, and the raw things normally do the things I don't like, as in the silent moment, the parts that I'm washing up, the parts where the real parts that you want, that do not need revision. They just need to be out of the video. I take all that up, organize the content by the color. So on those days, those things are hard when you're getting the raw bits. They are hard, but because they are very mindless, they don't require me to think through it. So I can have a podcast on, I can have music on, I can have anything that I want on, right? So when I'm having a hard day and I have my favorite music, then it's easier to kind of get through it. Now, when I come back to now trying to refine the footage for the storytelling moment, the improvement for me is that I used to have to look back, I had a booklet, as in what I call my editing booklet, where I hand script every detail, refine every word, and then type it. That was just hard work. Like I said, I don't do that anymore. The upgrade now is I get my notes up, I'm looking at the content, and I'm detecting through it. It has all the ums and ims and whats and nots and whatever. And then when I finish, I put that in AI to kind of refine the words for me, because I have prompts for what my style and voice is. So it's able to take out the and refine it in a very straight storytelling process is for me, which suits me. So what I then go back then is whilst I use the AI as the app to determine the word count and choice for me, I still have to go back in and re-edit it to suit what I want to say. Because when you're reading a voiceover, you have to relate to each word you are speaking. And so if I just left it for AI to do the job and I go to read it, it won't sound like me. Right, so the easier part is that now I don't have to write my own script, as in write it down. The detection is much easier and the corrections are done in app. And when the words are derived, I can then do the fine tuning and then read from that. So that has kind of like changed my editing process and the storytelling, and it's not boring, which allows me the free will to kind of speak about the design process as I would like. Whereas when I used to have to sit and do it, it would take me 30 hours to get one video out. So at least that's my editing process, and I hope you have picked something from it that will help you. All right, good luck. Jocelyn, thank you for stopping by. We'll see you again. Take care, darling. Bye-bye. Yeah. So first is I usually go through the editing and cut out the scenes and then edit the script based on what I say while filming. Similar. But yes, I think having like tools to help the process has incredibly been time saving and also made the process easier. I still hate editing though. I don't know though if I will enjoy outsourcing editing completely to an editor and accept their final cut for me. But hey, when I can afford an editor, you will know. Okay, so people, let's get going. I will see you on the next one, but keep an eye out on the weekend for more of the behind the scenes footage, which will be in the community post, as well as the final part of our hot weather cake and the last troubles I had with it. We will wrap that series up and then we'll be off to the next one, which is this square cake that has already cost me an arm and a leg. I'll see you on the next one. Mwah.